So welcome students. Today we will be discussing about the principles of double entry system and single entry system. So both single entry and double entry are not a new concept to us. Already we have studied a lot about this in your school time itself. But now just a small recap of that. Single entry system is an accounting system where you don't have any set of rules and regulations to be followed. But in double entry system, you have a set of rules and regulations to be followed. That is the basic difference. And I wanted to tell you who is the father of double entry system. So the double entry system was almost initiated in the year 1445. So what is this importance is that during the 15th century, during that time, before that time, all the business units were very small. So there was not, or there were no need of very good accountant to maintain the accounts. Just what they maintained, the cash received and cash paid was the only term or only accounting terms that was maintained. All other things were ignored. But there was a gap, there was not a complete record. So it was thought that a system should be initiated or it should be framed so that all the details of a business are recorded. So that is a point where this double entry system came into existence. And this father of double entry system is Luca Pacioli, and he was the person who initiated debit and credit. So you know whatever we do, we talk about debit and we talk about credit. So debit and credit, both the words are both the words are from the Italian language, which means debit means you own to the proprietor, credit means you receive from the proprietor. So in short we can tell that debit means what is going out from you, credit means what is coming into you. So debit is always expenses, credit is always your incomes. So, and you are also talking about the three important books, that is journal, ledger, and there is something called memorandum also. We will deal with that in detail. So the basic concept of double entry system, double, as the term itself tells, double, there are two things or two terms. The two terms are nothing but debit must be equal to your credit. If you are earning 100 rupees, your expenses must be 100 rupees. If you are earning 1000 rupees, your expenses must be 1000 rupees. You cannot earn rupees 100 and you cannot spend rupees 200. So there must not be any difference. So that is the basic concept of your debit must be equal to your credit. So this is the thing where the double entry system is being famous for. And this is double entry system is totally based on the you talk about the accounting equation. This is the basic thing which you will be learning in your school times. That is assets is equal to liabilities plus your equity. So assets, liabilities plus equity. Equity talks about the capital or the amount that you are going to invest. So this is the thing. Or the basic is debit must be equal to your credit. This only we saw in your last PPT. And what are the characteristics of double entry system? So it has, as the term itself tells, it has two parties or it has two transactions, a debit transaction, a credit transaction, and two parties, a debtor and a creditor, and there are rules of recording. So what are the rules? We'll just look into that in the next slides. And the advantages of double entry system is that it is a complete record of transactions, it is accurate, law accepts this, government accepts this. You can submit these accounts in the government organizations. It is used for decision making. You can have a better control over your business. Cash balances can be easily ascertained. You can control frauds. You cannot make any fraud. The results comparison is very easy. The same if you talk about the disadvantages, there are many disadvantages unless and until you know the rules and regulations of the double entry system. In Pakka, you cannot go for preparing the accounts. If you are not good at knowing the rules, what is real account, what is personal account and what is nominal account, you cannot prepare the accounts, so that ultimately you will get a wrong profit or a wrong image of your profit. So that is the basic thing, and it provides only financial information and not any other information. That is like HR, related to HR, etc. So that's also a greatest drawback. So what are the three types of accounts or the golden rules of accounts? Real account, personal account and nominal account. We know this. So there is a separate set of rules for real account, separate set of rules for personal account and separate set of rules for nominal account. First, the same. I have just given this. and I'll explain this in detail. So personal account. What do you mean by personal account? As the term itself states, personal, person, P-E-R-S-O-N. So it talks about the person, an individual or a group of person or an artificial person. See, for example, natural person is an individual person. For example, they are individuals. Everyone in the class, individually you come under this personal account. And if it is artificial or legal persons, companies, clubs, government agencies, societies, institutions. For example, if you tell DKM College is a personal account. It comes because it is an artificial person and it is a group of persons, representation or a group of persons, that is creditors, debtors, etc. If it is real account, real is nothing but it talks about the assets of the company. The assets may be either tangible assets or intangible assets. Tangible assets is the assets which you can see and feel, but intangible assets are the assets which you cannot see but it can be measured in terms of money. For tangible assets, you can talk about the examples are land and building, plant, etc., which you can see and you can feel, but goodwill, trademarks, copyrights, these are the things which you cannot see but you can feel. So those comes under intangible assets. And nominal accounts. Nominal accounts includes any expenses that exist but it don't have any form or shape. It cannot be seen or it cannot be felt. For example, salary, dividend, etc. So I think I can give you some examples to tell what is the business, based on which rule, based on which account it should be classified. Capital is done by investment. Investment is done by an individual. So individual or the proprietor. So automatically it comes under personal account. Sales, it comes under real account. While drawings is nothing but the money that you withdraw from the business for personal use, not for business use, for personal use. It is totally individual related. Outstanding rent must be paid by an individual or a company, so that comes under personal account. That is either by an individual or an artificial person or a group of persons. So that comes under personal. So this is the thing based on which you are supposed to classify the accounts. So I have given you this, please go through that. So I think if you are able to understand on what basis these are classified, you can easily tell that on what basis these accounts are classified and what is the rule behind this. The main rule that you must take into account is that personal account tells debit the receiver, credit the giver. Real account tells debit the incoming, credit the outgoing. Nominal tells debit all expenses and losses, credit all incomes and gains. This is called the golden rules of accounting or the rules of double entry system, whatever may be. You have to apply this rule in each and every business transaction and record all your business activities in your journals and ledgers, so that once you start preparing your trial balance or your final accounts, all your accounts will get tallied. But there are some situations where your trial balance will not tally. There are such cases. You can just go for a suspense account and tally the account for the time being and process and go further for the final accounts, and then come back again and find why there is a shortage between the debit and credit balances and try to work it out. Every year you cannot be showing suspense account. So if the accounts are everything correct and every entry is correct, every entry and every journal is correct, every subsidiary books are correct, every ledger is correct, automatically your trial balance will get tallied. So this is the basic things. I think you must have understood all the basic concepts of double entry system. So thank you.